Of everything that happened on the biggest night in American sport this summer, the moment the whole country decided to keep wasn't a goal. It wasn't the trophy being lifted. It was a 3-year-old boy, Lamine Yamal's little brother Kane, running across the grass of MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, toward a brother who had just become a world champion. Spain won the World Cup that night. On American soil, in front of more than 70,000 people in New Jersey, Luis de la Fuente's Spain beat Argentina 1-0. A substitute named Ferran Torres settled it deep into extra time in the 106th minute. And just like that, a tournament that had crossed 3 countries and most of the summer was over. It was, by any measure, an enormous occasion. It was also, everyone sensed, the last act of one of the great eras the game has ever known. The final World Cup for Lionel Messi, 8-time Ballon d'Or winner and Inter Miami star, on the losing side this time. The kind of night a nation remembers for a decade. And yet, when the noise died down, the clip America could not stop passing to one another wasn't the winning goal. It was a toddler in a little shirt, clutching a piece of the goal net, sprinting toward the one person in that vast, roaring stadium who mattered to him. His name is Keyne. He is the younger brother of Lamine Yamal, the 19-year-old Barcelona winger from La Masia, the academy that made him, who spent the summer being called one of the finest young players the game has ever produced. You might already know Lamine from Euro 2024, the tournament where he announced himself to the world at just 16. But Kane is not a footballer. He is 3 years old. He is Lamine's half-brother, and for the whole tournament he had been there in the stands, a small figure in an enormous crowd, watching his big brother chase something most grown men only dream about. And here's the thing I keep turning over. Watching all of this from Europe, we have the same game, the same tournament, the same stars, the same trophy. What we do not have, what I have honestly never seen us do quite like this, is what America did with this little boy. Because America had already been watching him for weeks. It started earlier in the tournament. After Spain beat Belgium, the cameras found Keyne, Lamine Yamal's little brother Kane, up on the giant screen at MetLife Stadium, the Jumbotron, and the little boy did what 3-year-olds do when they realize they're on television. He made faces, big, silly, delighted faces. And his brother down on the field looked up, saw him, and grinned. Millions of people saw it too. And something about it, this tiny kid, completely unbothered by the 90,000 strangers around him, just purely happy, got its hooks into people. Then came the semifinal. Spain beat France to reach their first World Cup final in 16 years. And in the middle of the celebration, there was Keyne again, moving through the crowd with his little arms stretched out toward his brother. And Lamine, this teenager the whole world wanted a piece of, stopped and picked him up and carried him through the roar like nothing else in that stadium existed. That's the strange power of a moment like that. It needs no translation. You don't have to know a single thing about soccer to understand a small child reaching up and an older one reaching back. It skips over language, over nationality, over which flag you were shouting for. It just goes straight in. So by the time the final came around at MetLife Stadium, America wasn't only watching a soccer team it had no particular reason to love. It was watching a family, a big brother and a little brother, and that is a story that does not need subtitles. Now, before I get to the part I think actually matters here, the thing this whole moment quietly says about this country, let me ask you one small favor. If you're enjoying this, wherever you're watching, on the big screen in the living room or on the phone in your hand, the subscribe button is right there. On the screen if you're on the television, just under the video if you're on your phone. Press it. This channel is one European's honest attempt to understand America, the real thing, the warm thing, the parts that never make the news. Because what happened next says more about you than it does about a little boy from Spain. When the final whistle went and Spain were champions, the field filled with the people it always fills with. Players, wives, fathers, children. And Lamine Yamal's little brother Kane ran. Across the grass of MetLife Stadium, clutching a scrap of the net, straight into his brother's arms. Lamine lifted him up and held him for a long time in front of the whole watching world. And a country of more than 300 million people, A country that had just hosted the largest sporting event on Earth, that had every reason in the world to be talking about itself, stopped and made that little boy the thing it loved most about the whole night. Think about how strange that is for a second. He wasn't American. He didn't speak the language. He belonged, if anything, to the other side of the story. The visiting team, the foreign champions, the ones who came to America and took the trophy home. By every old rule of how these things are supposed to go, he should have been a footnote, a cute face in somebody else's celebration. Instead, America adopted his joy as its own. And I don't think that's a small thing. Where I come from, in Europe, we tend to hold a moment like this at arm's length. We'd admire the football. We'd argue the tactics. We'd file the toddler away as a nice bit of color and get back to the serious business of who deserved to win. We are, I'll be honest, a little too proud to be caught being that openly, uncomplicatedly moved by a stranger's child. America isn't. That's the part I keep coming back to. This is a country that, in the middle of its own enormous night, looked at a kid who had nothing to do with it, wrong country, wrong team, wrong language, and didn't close ranks. It opened up. It said, in effect, "Come here, we see you, your happiness is welcome at our party too." And you felt this yourselves, I think. Anyone who has ever sat in an American ballpark on a summer evening knows exactly the feeling I'm describing. Some other family's kid turns up on the big screen between innings, dancing or bawling, or fast asleep in a giant foam hat, and the whole stadium goes soft for a stranger's child for 10 full seconds. You've done it. You've been part of it. That reflex to let a child you will never meet be, for a moment, everybody's child, is one of the most quietly American things I know of. And I don't think you even notice you're doing it. It's just in the water here. Lamine noticed something like it too, in his own way. Earlier in the tournament, he'd spoken about his little brother to reporters, and he didn't talk like a superstar. He talked like a big brother. He said his little brother Kane means everything to him, that it feels almost like having a son of his own, that the thing that moved him most, in the middle of the greatest summer of his life, was simply seeing that little boy so happy. A 19-year-old La Masia graduate sitting at the very top of the entire sport, and the thing he wanted you to know about was a 3-year-old. Maybe that's why it landed the way it did, because everybody, everywhere understands it. You don't need to follow the game. You don't need to know who topped the group or what a false nine is. You just need to have loved somebody smaller than you and wanted, more than anything in the world, for them to be okay, for them to be happy, for that to be enough. That night, for one country watching, it was enough. The trophy will get engraved. The highlights will get cut and recut. In 10 years, plenty of people won't remember the score. It was 1-0, since you're wondering, decided in the 106th minute by a substitute nobody outside Spain could have named that morning. But I'd put money on this. They'll remember Lamine Yamal's little brother Kane running across the field. They'll remember the big brother catching him. And they'll remember that, of all the things a country could have chosen to fall in love with that night, America chose the smallest, most human one in the building. That, to me, is the whole thing. Not that Spain won. That America, handed a night that was entirely about winning, decided the best part was a child who wasn't even keeping score. I'm going to keep looking for these, the small, warm, easy-to-miss things about this country that Americans seem to walk straight past because they're standing too close to see them. If that's what you want more of, the subscribe button is right underneath this video. Press it on the screen if you're watching on the television, or just below if you're on your phone. And I'll see you at the next one.